I'd like to acknowledge Māori McCarthy, and I hope she's still on the end of the link from Rotorua, but otherwise, sorry she can't be with us today. She is? Oh, good. Thank you, Māori. What I want to present to you today is a focus that Māori and I did on the Kaikoura district following the earthquake. 2016, we entered the community in 9-10 months following the earthquake. I had worked with the community before with takahanga, te runanga o Kaikoura, and of course a lot of changes had occurred both within the runanga, it was a period of transition, and also for the council. So it was a time of change. Of course the earthquake came and we took the opportunity to run a series of focus groups and individual interviews, very much a face-to-face and kaupapa Māori approach. What I want to present today is a snapshot of some of the findings that we have found, and it's in terms of what can we learn from this community post-disaster in terms of how they see resilience through a cultural lens. Certainly the resilience learnings we thought were very much built around their whole being in terms of the tino rangatiratanga, of self-determination, their aspirations for the future. That was important to them, and if you can kind of think and know of some of the grounding in terms of the whakapapa and the whole connection with the land of the Māori community. And we've developed 5 characteristics that we see as being key to the future of the resilience. And it was, of course, built on their stories, their experiences. And if you think about it, and Joe's set the context of the Māori role during the earthquake was they were actually responsible for the vast numbers of visitors in terms of 1,000 evacuees that fled or actually suggested that they should go to the marae and they would be catered for, they would be fed and accommodated. And of course, this is a community that's marginalised, as many of our Māori rural communities, and they weren't in a strong place in terms of resources and food, but they stepped up. They're very much their whole being in terms of hosting and being the home people that would respond. Their support came from the Ngāi Tahu, from their iwi, and also from the Te Puneri Kōkiri, the Māori agency. There wasn't a lot of connect with the local community in terms of the council, but as I say, it was at a period of where relationships were not strong, with successional plans perhaps put in place, so there was this gap in a relationship. So just looking kind of very briefly at some of these elements, and I'm not going to be able to discuss them in detail, but just to give you a snapshot, they kind of were based around a transformational approach. Obviously, there's a need to understand your community and to also be able to work together, sharing resources and really being something, a collective approach in terms of helping those in a time of need. The empowerment built on trusting relationships, paving a way for partnerships and collaborative processes for the future. Participation that were resourced in terms of whānau working collaboratively with the agencies and the NGOs to be able to plan together to be in a strong position for the future and similar response of likelihood to occur. Leadership was a strong one, and they looked at all of these components in terms of themselves and in terms of the external agencies. But that real need to have strong leaders internally and strong leaders to be able to work with the agencies under trusting, clearly communicated, supportive networks in terms of representation. And then the development, and this too is around the co-planning, the working together in a collaborative process, but also learning to build in successional plans. So this is just some of the key elements that I've picked out to give us some indication. So some of the centred around the power sharing, the trusting, the durable relationships, seeing the marae as a welfare centre for the future, and so needing to be resourced and having that commitment to build the strength of the whānau, the families behind the relationships for the future. And that partnering in a very collaborative, inclusive process built on cultural training within agencies so they could really work together and co-develop a plan for the future. So I think we've brought out some elements, and I think the real success too is now integrating some of this research, and it's been very good working with Lincoln in terms of the transient community, is feeding in some of our experiences with the Māori community into their work, and also with Joe around tourism and food. So keen to extend that knowledge into other sectors.